Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Talking About the Big Stuff podcast with Michael Cole and Matthew Cravat. I am Michael Cole.
And I am Matthew Cravat.
I think this is another one of those topics where I didn't explain it very well to you in our texts.
Very well or at all?
Well, I kind of
You
texted
said two
about it
words. You
last
said
week.
2 words. I did last week. I don't remember what happened last week. I'm an old man.
Anyway, so and I forget exactly what it was. It was somebody talking about. I'm pretty sure it was a combination of the Harris Walz ticket and the mayoral candidate in New York, Mamdani. They were talking about those things, and they started talking about how the Democratic Party always just wants to cut and run and start from scratch and never be like, okay, well, we got really, really close here, and this can be rebuilt and worked better. And they were talking about how like Bernie is kind of trying to do that. Not that Bernie's going to run again, but Bernie is like, let's work with what we've got instead of trying to start from scratch. And so I don't remember exactly the way that they worded it in that, but at the time that I was listening to it, it made me think that's a good topic. And I think that the example I think of all the time is Star Wars. I've mentioned it to you, I'm sure, before, but
I've never seen Star Wars. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh yeah. Well, I can imagine quite a bit.
Okay, that's better then. I'll continue talking then.
So anyway, I
It's
think
a
about
deep cut for talking about the big stuff.
Yeah. So I think about Star Wars as being before Disney took it over, and I am not as down on Disney Star Wars as a lot of Star Wars fans are, but before, I would say between right before they took it over, like the end of the prequels to right before they took it over, Star Wars was really good at what I think they were really good at is taking something that we don't love and building it up and making us love it. So Ahsoka, people hated Ahsoka when that first Clone Wars movie came out. And by the end of the Clone Wars TV show, like the original end, before they went back and filmed a new season, people loved Ahsoka. Ahsoka is one of the, she's a fan favorite character because they built her up. They didn't cut and run on her. They built her up and said, okay, we get it. You didn't like that she was,
as opposed to Jar Jar, that they, totally wrote him out of the movies. He's a background character after the first movie.
Yeah, I think I never use Jar Jar as the example because I kind of get the Jar Jar thing, but you're right that's true. But I also kind of get the. I think about Rose Tico, because Jar Jar doesn't feel like he was necessary in the other movivies.
He was going to be Darth Plagueis. He was going to be a Sith Lord.
Yeah, I get it, but he doesn't feel like. I know, but and there are talks that he was actually he was gonna have a bigger part, but you don't feel like
wait till you see. Then the second movie they went, ew, there's your role.
But with Rose Tico, you've got her being the love interest to a character who up until that point was he was the Luke or the Han or the Leia of the trilogy.
He was part of the trilogy of characters.
Yeah,
heroes.
Yeah.
Star Wars tends to have a trilogy at a time.
Yeah, and he was one of them, and his love interest was Rose, and people complained about Rose. Now, Rose, I don't get the dislike of Rose. I think Rose was, she was vanilla.
Well, I think, though, they switched directors and the entire movie gave up on everything and started over from scratch. And they switched back and said, okay, that movie never happened. We'll go back to that. So,
right.
She was a victim of the huge upheavals.
Right. But to have, her, I mean, it's also tough because and I get that Oscar Isaac is to some degree a person of color, but you have the one Asian character and the one black character both get downsized drastically. I mean, even in that movie, I don't think Finn is as big as you had been in the first movie because, but in the third movie, they are downgraded so much. And Rose has 30 seconds of screen time, and she is this big deal, character arc wise in the second movie, and the key wouldn't have been to like just scrap her. The key would have been like, okay, you didn't like her, you didn't like Ahsoka, we're gonna make you like her. Luke was a whiny little pain in the ass in the first movie. Luke becomes awesome in Empire Strikes Back. You know, like this is something that we like.
Yeah, well, I think that was a symptom of the entire last trilogy, that there was no continuity between them. They didn't do any job of like, what's a 3-story arc for these people. It was all just, what are we doing?
You're absolutely right.
In the next scene. And it doesn't have to relate to the previous scene.
You're absolutely right, but it is also
and they did it. They did the minority characters 10 times worse than everyone else.
Yes,
it's a great example of how badly those. I mean, I thought those are fun to watch individual movies, but they're terrible chapters of a story.
Yes, yeah. And so, like, I think Star Wars is a good example of this in society, but I think we're at this point right now, and part of it, maybe people would say it's ADHD, like, or whatever, but I think that we are at a place where we're like cut and run.
Yeah, I wouldn't diagnose it with incorrectly with a medical condition, but I think there's definitely those of us who are older and watch classic TV know that like Cheers would never get a second season today. Like, it wasn't good the first season. Star Trek: The Next Generation, with the exception of a couple of episodes, wasn't good until season 3. Like, it took 3 seasons to get into it and for it to know where it was. And it's hard to give a show that kind of chance anymore, or a franchise or anything. It's like, you got to be good out the gate, or you're done. And there are things like that find an audience, in syndication or something. A movie that fails and then on streaming people suddenly gets popular because guess what? You didn't like it the first weekend it was out. That doesn't mean it wasn't good.
Yeah. And I think though that there is a lot of that happens outside of just pop culture too. Like, I think Tim Walz was amazing, and they didn't play to his strengths as good as they could have. And I think that Harris was better than she was played up. And I don't think it's a great idea to run a candidate 2 times in a row typically, although Donald just won.
Well, he's good at proving people's previous assumptions wrong. And I think our political system they're terrible marketers for the most part. They just don't learn that being yourself is being likable is what works. And I've said it before, like, Hillary was not nearly as likable and Harris as a candidate as they were in informal interviews or stuff like where they're being themselves, especially Hillary after she lost. The Hillary that was on SNL and on interviews after she lost was a likable, approachable, still brilliant, still capable, but likable, where the Hillary who ran for office wasn't. And it's the same on the other side too. I remember Newt Gingrich, who was part of the evil cabal that put us in the mess we're in now, put us down the path of hell. When he left Congress and he was on talk shows, he was making jokes, he was laughing, and I was like, this guy looks like a normal human. He looked like Satan when he was in office. Like, I don't get how they hide who they are, versus Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and George W. Bush, who all 3 of them, their personality is what carried them because they were being themselves all the time.
Yeah. I think that you're right about that, but I also think like running the same person twice. And now, obviously we see it a lot in, like McCain ran against Bush.
I'll use your example of Bernie. Bernie, ran primary twice and did better the second time. Still didn't win, but
And again, Bernie may, like you had said it recently.
And primary may be different too. Like, you didn't lose the big game. Yeah.
Right. Well, that's what I was about to say with McCain ran against Bush in 2000, and then so it's not the same as running, but like running the same candidate as in the general twice in a row tends to. I mean, I guess the only example I don't think nobody of is Trump.
Yeah, nobody's done it. I think the idea is that the conventional wisdom has been like, well, you lost, go in the trash heap, rather than hey, you came within 2 points. If we can make that up, you'll win next time. Like, to your point of making you like them, you just have to improve a little. Why are you starting over from 0?
Yeah. And I think that there's a lot. It also, I think, tends to be with playbooks as well. So, like, now I think Harris go as progressive as progressives wanted. I think that's part of the problem. Which I'm not like trying to I'm not trying to point blame at her. What I'm going to say is
the campaign didn't,
because
the campaign
because the campaign lost because of that. Everything that she did is going to be scrapped. Like even the things that were good things are potentially going to be scrapped, unless unless it's like that was what the party want. Like that's what when I say the party, I mean the people who the party officials want. Unless it's that, like anything that they were doing to try to get like
Mark Cuban was on Pod Save America this weekend. And he was talking about how he was, one of her surrogates during the campaign, and he was pushing, like he was going on podcasts, bro podcasts, and getting a lot of traction. And they all the podcasts wanted her on, and her handlers wouldn't let her go on them because they were afraid that's not what we Democrats do. Trump's doing it, and it's working incredibly well for him, but we don't do that. And she didn't connect with people, and like maybe she would have. And he was like, she says fuck every third word when you're in a conversation with her. You put her on a bro podcast and have her say, this is fucking stupid, he fucking sucks, she will win. And but they're like, no, politicians don't do that. And Trump dropped an F-bomb the other day and nobody gave a shit. Just like, yep, they do it now.
Yeah, and
so what are we talking about? Do we have a topic this week? I forgot if we had a topic this week.
The topic is trying to improve on what you've got instead of, crumpling up the paper and starting from scratch. That's the topic. Okay. And so what I was going to say is that now it's coming back to me, which is they were talking about how like Bernie, Bernie is out there doing the thing. I can't remember what his campaign that he's running right now. Not like a campaign, but like trying
to AOC are traveling the country in arenas connecting.
And he was apparently offering to do that for the Harris campaign, and the Harris campaign, again, probably not her, but the campaign was like, no, we don't want you showing up at events. And instead they had Liz Cheney showing up at events. And they had Liz Cheney doing all these things. And they're like, if you had stuck with the guy who keeps pulling these massive numbers, you could have done it. But you're pulling like Liz Cheney, people, middle of the road Democrats like her because she's an example of a Republican who hates Trump. But like, she's not pulling big numbers. She's not doing.
Her thing was, I hate everything Harris stands for, but she's not as bad as Trump. Like that was her position,
right? And Bernie would have been out there cheerleading, and like so that was the point. Was they were like saying, like,
Bernie, not much closer to what we need to be.
Bernie hasn't won, so they don't want anything to do with Bernie. And it's like Bernie is out there like showing, and Bernie, they never want him to be a surrogate for them because
it's a recurring problem they don't learn from. Because I'm going to go old school. There was a candidate once whose name was Al Gore, and the president at the time that Al Gore was running was this guy named Bill Clinton. I think he's related to Hillary Clinton in some way. Bill Clinton, because he had been impeached, the party thought he was toxic, and they didn't want him campaigning for Gore. He did not campaign for Gore. Yeah. His approval rating was like 65%, and they didn't have him campaign for Gore. He didn't campaign for Gore.
Biden and Trump would kill for that
right.
approval rating.
Anyone would. I mean, and he didn't campaign for him in Arkansas, where his approval rating was 90%. He could have just gotten him Arkansas. He could have gotten him so many states because he was still loved. But they were like, political wisdom says someone who is impeached shouldn't be your surrogate. But it was the stupidest thing. Because he could only help. He was beloved. And all you'd say is, I disagree with what he did in his personal life, but look what a great thing he did for our economy and for our strength and our blah, 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 blah. They don't learn.
We know now that he wasn't on the Epstein list because it never existed.
If we get a quick aside for the quote-unquote list, which the people who said it existed were conspiracy theorists. Like, suddenly people are acting like, what do you mean it doesn't exist? No one ever thought it existed. What would that list have been? Hey, Mike, I'd like you to come to my private island and fuck some kids. Can you sign the guest book? Like, where would this list come from?
I listened to Skeptocrat this morning too.
Yeah.
But I just
love fucking your kids. Billy Clinton.
By the point, anytime someone brings up the Epstein stuff, and like my point is like, who has the most pictures with Epstein that we've ever seen?
What used to go on
one answer to that question
and say, "Oh, he's a great guy. He loves women, beautiful women, just like I do, and he likes them on the young side." It's like he knew about it way back then.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we have not been going live this whole time. Well, we're recording.
You
but we're
said
not live
we were going live before we started the topic.
I would hit record. Well, whatever. We're live now. Hopefully,
Mahavi just messaged me saying, "Why aren't you live?"
There we are. Now we're live. Sorry, everybody. But this is what happens when Alex isn't here to be like, Mike. Alex, if you're listening, this is why we need you. What were we saying?
You were saying that you wish you had been to Epstein's Island.
No. You motherfucker. Anyway. Motherfucker.
Better to fuck mothers than the kids. You and your Epstein friends.
Oh, yeah. No, for at least a few years now, I've been more attracted to MILFs than 20-somethings. No, early 20-somethings. So.
I've never been attracted to women younger than me. Like, even like junior, senior year of college, I would look at freshmen and go, "Oh, she's going to be cute one day." Like, I couldn't even see girls who were in college with me as attractive if they were younger than me.
Oh, no. I think that I could, if I was single, I think I could go as young as 28, 29.
If I was single, I think I would be celibate the rest of my life. But anyway.
Back to Epstein's Island.
Back to you on Epstein's Island.
Not me, you.
Yeah. So I think the problem that the Democratic Party tends to face in this is the desire to completely reinvent themselves to get, as you said in your text, the topic being confidence, to get their confidence back. And I think reinventing yourself a bit is good, like rather than trying to reach what you think you were in the past as a goal. But you should not completely, that adverb is a bad one. You shouldn't be completely reinventing yourself. You just need to say, where are the things where I excel? Where are the things where I'm weak? What can I do to get away from the weak things? I remember having a inspirational speaker who talked about Tiger Woods being really shitty in sand traps. And rather than spending hours and hours working on the sand wedge and how to get out of the sand trap, he spent hours making sure that he had good enough aim that he would never end up in a sand trap. It's like, avoid the things you're bad at rather than spend tons of effort that you could be spending being great in other areas, being adequate in what you're bad at. And I think that's something that when you're trying to recapture your mojo, you have to evaluate. Where can I excel versus trying to recapture things that maybe I'm not good at? Like, you're not good at connecting as in the traditional campaign. Well, what can I do different that would make me excel in other areas, but not scrap the things you do well? Like, you need to stick with what you're good at, not reinvent yourself completely. You just need to take the path less traveled.
Yeah. And I think that the DNC is, they tend to do, well, when they do keep something, it's never the right thing. For example, like I think this is something I could 100% imagine as a hypothetical. So I think obviously Hillary won the popular vote in 2016. So like the idea of if she had run again in 2020 and Biden had not run again, I think she would have been our nominee again. And that makes sense because she did win the popular vote the first time. But there's that, it's one of my least favorite things in all political soundbite history is let's make them Pokemon go to the polls. And I could see the DNC coming up with another shitty soundbite like that for her, instead of being like, okay, you had this as far as the popular vote, now we just need to figure out the Electoral College. I think that they would have doubled down on some things. They wouldn't have gone to Michigan, and they wouldn't have done those things that they should have done the first time, because they would have said like, no. There's no way that's going to play again. Like like it's kind of like rock paper
Well,
scissors.
we lost that. We can't get it back.
It's sometimes like rock paper scissors, where it's like, well, they just played scissors, so there's no way they're going to beat us twice in a row with paper. Like with us having paper. So like I think that there's a little bit of that tendency, but it's never like, okay, well, we would have won A, B, and C, so let's keep A, B, and C and get rid of D, E, and F. And they don't like adjust in that way.
But what I also think they do terribly is that they assume we won A, B, and C last time, so we don't have to do it, which is why they lost the Rust Belt. Like we win the Rust Belt every time. We don't have to do anything to win it again. And they do it with every demographic. Oh, we can rely on this demographic. We don't have to appeal to them. Oh, why are we losing that demographic? Because you didn't appeal to them.
Yeah. Or you say something stupid like, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. I mean, he still won, but like, but my point. Like they say stupid shit like that, and then you're like, okay, well, they are they're really good at taking everything for granted that they've ever won, and then completely being incapable of evaluating losses properly. But I think that I also think that like they're like when they look at something like Mamdani and right now the Mamdani situation in New York, everything I've seen of him is great. But like there are a lot of people in the party fighting him, and a lot of that is AIPAC related. And so I don't AIPAC. Yeah. I can't even remember what they stand for. Is it
American Israel Political Action Committee?
Okay. Yeah, and so like there's a lot of that, like, and that's been getting called out lately. But
that's also an anti-Semitic trope that they blame anything a Democrat does something they don't like. They say, "Oh, AIPAC's controlling them." So there's
no,
partially they do, and partially it's always the thing people go to. I think another problem is New York is much more liberal than the rest of the country. Like I always joke here in North Carolina that the Democrats here, most of the Democrats that I know in North Carolina, officials would be Republicans in New York. And most like the Republicans who are elected officials in New York would be Democrats if they were here. Like New York is a jump to the left.
Yeah,
and so
and that's true.
So the most liberal candidate in New York is going to be unpopular with the rest of the party.
They were saying that they were talking about I don't know, some podcast that's based out of Florida. It's got national appeal, but I think it was Patrick Bet-David, and they were talking about how his podcast is playing to all these like things about him, about Mamdani, and they're like, yeah, because you're surrounded by Floridians. That's why you think that these points work, but this isn't a national race. You're not trying to deal with this. But I also think that like there's been a fair amount of success by true progressives throughout the country, and it is always considered a fluke when it happens. And it's like, no, sometimes it's because back to a few weeks ago when we did the episode about populism, it's like, no, it's because these help the people the most. It's not, I mean, obviously
people in charge don't want to admit they're wrong. They don't admit they're wrong.
True, that's true.
It's like, well, someone who's doing something different than me, must be a fluke because what I do is right.
Yeah. So that's bad. I just am like I'm a little worried that we're gonna like, I don't even, and part of it, I also think that part of like, especially when we look at like presidential politics, it's hard because like I think about the field right now, and so like you think about the Republicans. Now the Republicans, I think, unless they do something where Trump could be a president 3 terms, the only person I see that has the sway and charisma to replace Trump in 2028, and I've heard that this is a possibility, and it's terrifying, is Tucker Carlson. And he's been talking about how he might run, apparently, and I think that he
he lost a lot of cachet when he got kicked off Fox. He's just a
true, but there's all this. Yeah.
Like, and he's fighting with the establishment. He's fighting with Ted Cruz, but so did Trump. But I don't think he has the Trump quality. Be interesting. I mean,
I don't know.
It's all going to be down to primaries. I think there's a lot of choices. I don't know how many choices there are on the Republican side because, again, like we talked about in populism, it's hard to replace a populist because you're not him. Like people didn't vote for Trump for any other reason than he was Trump. So you're not the next person is not Trump. And the shittier that his outcomes end up being, the harder it's going to be for everyone blames the people who are low information voters. Just blame whoever's in charge for whatever the situation is, or credit them for whatever the situation is the day they go to the polls. So like whether they go incumbent or challenger just depends on whether they're happy or not happy that day. So we'll see what that is, or if any of them haven't been deported yet.
I think we have a few good options on our side that could potentially rise to the occasion.
I mean, I think we have a lot of young options with it, which excites me. I mean, Pete and AOC, they both and Booker, and there's a lot of people who are on the younger side who are exciting possibilities.
My worry is that when we see what rises to the top of the Republican side, that the party starts to the Democratic Party starts to put their thumb on the scale a little bit for who they think can beat it. Instead of listening to the people and saying, let's see what rises to the top. Like the Republican Party did not want Trump. The party officials, they did not want Trump. And Trump just kind of overcame everything. Yeah.
Well, I think
they finally said, "Well,
I think there's a benefit to the Democratic Party, the party itself, DNC, not wanting someone who the people want. Because if they can win over the DNC's objections, that's a powerful statement towards how well they can win the general. If you can't beat the DNC, then you aren't going to win the general. If the DNC is able to put their person in over you, then you weren't going to win the general.
Yeah, but a lot of that, I think a lot of that comes down to I think they put their thumb on the scale in 2016 for sure, and I think that I was irritated.
I think they do, but I think that if you can't overcome that thumb, you probably weren't going to get the middle in the general.
Yeah.
Like you should be able to overcome the thumb if you think you're going to be able to win the general election too.
Sure.
And and the person who they put the thumb on may lose the general because they weren't good enough either, but either were their opponents if they weren't good enough to get over that, is my thought. Like you were going to lose, then you were going to lose.
I get what you're saying. But I think that they shouldn't be put. I think they should be more neutral.
They shouldn't put their thumb on it, but I think it's kind of like hey, if you can beat the guy who's cheating, you'll kill when you get to the general.
Yeah. If you just if you're like we always talk about when they're talking about DEI and they're like, if I see a black woman pilot, I'm going to be afraid, and we're like, I'm actually way more confident because it must have been so much harder for her to get the job, but that doesn't make it right. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make it right.
So here's the thing that inspires me recently on local politics level.
Yeah.
I know a handful of people who are running for office on a local level because they didn't see anybody running for office on their ticket that they thought would do a great job. Like I have a friend who's running for town council in one of the local towns, and his thing was, I don't want to run, so I'm waiting to the last minute to file to hope somebody better than me files. Yeah. But this person is not a politician, just said, someone needs to do it, so I'm stepping up and I'm doing it. And that exciting. Yeah. And I know a couple of people like that who are stepping up and filed, who are not currently in local politics or suddenly entering in, who are not career politicians. They're just people who said, someone good needs to be doing this job. So that's kind of what's keeping me going on the local level.
Where is Leah running?
Away. Leah ran for internal office in the Wake Democrats and was so disgusted by the backstabbing and the fighting and the negativity and what should have been a friendly competition amongst peers who were going to work together.
Oh yeah.
That's what turned us all off of being involved with the local Democratic Party on the non-candidate level. Like we like most of the candidates and the officials, but the pettiness of the people who are like, I'm never going to be a candidate, but I'm going to be the county this, within the party.
Yeah.
Like it's like being on the HOA. These people who just wanted petty power. and they're so frustrating that we don't want to be involved with them. So Leah decided, I don't want to, if I'm going to be attacked by people who are supposed to be my friends running for this assistant director, blah, blah, blah position, I'm not going to go through that against my enemies. So she will stay behind the scenes and work. Yeah. Maybe she'll change her mind when she's older. But for the last couple of years, she was so burned by people who were her friends coming out and saying, I don't usually endorse people, but Leah's too young, so I'm endorsing her opponent who has been, the party faithful, who has earned the job by being there all along. It's her by right, kind of bullshit.
Yep.
And so Leah's like, my
that's
friends
the
did
shit
that.
I'm talking about.
Yeah, well, exactly.
That's what the party did in 20...
Drove Leah out with, they say they want young people involved, but what they mean is show up and hand out the flyers for us. Keep your mouth shut. We don't want your opinion, and God forbid, don't run. So, well, that's a good way to drive young people away.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, we really need like they've said it, and it sucks to admit that it's true, but the Democratic Party is worse with young people than the Republican Party is in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
and that is
like
they don't fucking weird.
I mean, I think they
in ways.
I think they both don't give a shit about young people. But the Republicans hide that really well. The Democrats put it on display. The Democrats, again, assume young people should vote for us because Republicans are bad for young people. And we're not going to do a single thing to listen to your interests, to appeal to you, to serve you. We're just going to assume because you're young, you should vote for us. And so, done with you. Like, you're like the Rust Belt to us. We trust that you'll vote. And then, what do you mean they didn't come out and vote? Oh, it's terrible. It's their fault. They didn't come out and vote. It's like, you didn't give them a reason to. And maybe it would be nice if everyone just voted for what's best for the world. But unfortunately, people need to be motivated. You can't just assume they're going to come out and do what's best.
Yeah, yeah. And ultimately, the Republicans are so blatant about everything is a commodity, everyone is a commodity, that like if a young person's a commodity, we'll get behind them because they're a commodity.
Right, we can sell them.
Like if they're, exactly. So like, what's the guy in the wheelchair from the west part of the state? He's been
Cawthorn, Madison Cawthorn.
Madison Cawthorn. Like, oh yeah, like he's everything that our people want. So we're gonna, here's this product essentially. Oh, Montague just commented, Democrats are weak and stupid. I unfortunately agree. We have scummy and shitty, and then weak and stupid. And like, not to say that both aren't a little bit of both.
And it's not usually the candidates who are weak and stupid, but somewhat it is.
Yeah.
Like, Madhavi actually had a call with our congresswoman today. Madhavi reached out and said, I want to talk to you about what's going on. And she was very blunt, the congresswoman, like, we have no power. The most we can do is make a stink and protest. We have no power to do anything. And Madhavi was like, can the UN come in and do something like for the international laws? And she's like, yeah, we would have to send the U.S. representative to the UN in to ask for help. And Trump appointed that person, so we're not doing that. Like we have literally, we just need to try to win in the midterms and people need to be involved. People need to be engaged. People need to keep yelling the skies and going to protests. But there's nothing we can do in the Congress to stop him until we have the Congress, or unless we have the Congress.
Yeah, absolutely.
The founders thought that the branches of government would regulate each other because that would take precedence over party. Like Congress would want Congress to have more power than the president has, regardless of party, and they just did not foresee Trump, and it's not the case with Trump.
I also and maybe
they roll over and say, "Tickle my belly, Mr. Trump," and maybe tickle the balls a little while you're there, unless you cut them off already.
I also wonder because, like at the beginning of the country, we weren't a two-party system, as in the way that we are, or at least we
were different two parties.
We were a different two-party system, but the parties changed. Like we literally, over the course of the first 90 to 100 years of the country, we had 3 to 4 parties, not at any given time, but we actually changed, and now we've had over 100 years. Closer to 150 years of a two-party system where it has been Republicans and Democrats. And yes, the parties, what that means has shifted a bit, but we haven't had the ability, there was the Whigs and then at one point the Republicans were the new guys on like because Abraham Lincoln was only like the second Republican president or first Republican president,
first
right?
Republican president, yeah.
Yeah. Because that was the new version of a party.
But even really, when you get down to it, there was always conservatives and liberals, and you can change the label on the party name, but it was always conservative. Like there's not been a centrist party that's in between them. And there's always been fringe parties that are further left and further right or whatever, but none that make a difference. What I'm worried about is that if Elon really starts his own party, he can control the government. Because if he's potentially smart enough to say, I'm not having someone run for president, I'm going to pick 4 states where I can win the Senate, win a senator in those states, and then the Senate's too close to make a decision, and my hand-picked own senators are the ones who flip any vote one way or the other. I own every vote. That's what scares me. That not really runs for has someone run for president, it would be great because that would be a spoiler and take Republican votes. That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
But if he can get 2 or 3, 4 senators that are on his payroll, then like the way the Senate's so evenly split, they would be the tiebreakers for everything, and he would own every vote.
Yeah.
Hope he's not listening. I know he listens. Hope he's not listening to this point.
Yeah. Not to mention, we could always end up with another Joe Manchin or was it Kirsten Sinema?
Yeah, but they were better than having a Republican in. Like they were bad on the big votes, but they voted. No, see, they get all the press of here's the big thing they voted no on. But 90% of the time they voted with the Democrats. It was only the 10% that you heard about because that ruined things. But now there's Republicans in those places and they vote 100% with Trump. Like that's worse.
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have Joe Manchin representing West Virginia. He voted against Trump 80% of the time.
Yeah, yeah. And
it wasn't even that he voted Republicans. He voted against big liberal Democrat things. It's like they say, we need to do overhaul the justice system. And he's like, that's too far from me. I'm too moderate for that. But he still voted no on the Republican judges and yes on the Democrat judges. He just wouldn't vote to overhaul the system.
Yeah. 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 And
hopefully President Buttigieg will have a Democratic Congress to work with.
Yeah. I plan on voting blue no matter who. And I hope that we can all get behind that, including the Democratic Party, who doesn't seem to be behind that when it comes to New York. Now that the guys now they're like thinking about Cuomo, even though Cuomo's going to be running, if he runs, is going to be running independently. The vote blue no matter who is only for us at the bottom. It's for them to tell us. It's never for us to tell them. But yeah, and Madhavi also said, what did she say? The party, not the people. The people are great, but the party doesn't listen, which I completely agree with. It is frustrating, and to some extent it really feels like it's another way in which the Republicans are doing better, because if they were listening to the politicians, if they were listening to Mitch McConnell, they would not have picked Trump. Not that they could help it, but like
they could have, because they could have taken action against him after he left office. They could have voted to remove him from office and not let him run again. They could have done shit. They were just cowardly fools who didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that like their base, the Republican base was more in favor of him than they were than the Democratic Party has been. The Democratic people have been behind some of our candidates. Madhavi also says, we couldn't get behind Harris. Buttigieg doesn't have a chance. I think that's true. It's that weird, like, what's more powerful, sexism or homophobia?
Yeah, so Buttigieg is so good on TV. Like he goes in the enemy territories and wins. So
yeah, and he has that Obama style charm to him, that like just like swagger, and I don't think Biden really had it. Not in the Biden. I think a huge reason why I think Biden was successful in getting the presidency, and I am more supportive of Biden than I planned on, than I thought he would be. Like, I think he was better than I thought
We
he would be.
were very pleasantly pleased his first
Yeah.
3 years.
But I think that the reason why he won too was because Trump was in like an unprecedented shitstorm. And like, if COVID hadn't happened and some of the other things hadn't like been as bad as they ended up being, I don't know that Biden would have won. So like, I don't know that Biden did better than Clinton or Harris in that way. Like, I don't want to give him that credit because I don't know that he deserves it, and it's hard. It will be something we can never know unless we had an alternate dimension that we could go to and say, "Oh, he did win without COVID in 2020 in this other dimension." But I just think, like we have not had someone with that level of charisma that Buttigieg, that Obama had since Obama, and I get Buttigieg did run for he ran in the primary, but
well, that was to get his name out there. He knew he didn't have a chance. Then he was running he was a mayor, from a small place.
Yeah.
He was just, but that got him Secretary of Transportation. He was in the Biden thing for 4 years in a high-level cabinet position, getting the experience and the context he needs. So the person who's positioning herself the best is AOC because she's on the road with Bernie, building up that populist support. That's a smart move.
She also, I think, name brand recognition is going to be a huge asset too. In the coming, because right now the people, I mean, it's far enough ahead that it's hard to tell. But like right now, when they're talking about the right, you're talking about the top people that I've heard is DJ TJ, which that is crazy to me that they think that guy has a shot in hell because he does not have the charisma of his father. He is, he's just, I don't know. I can't imagine for a second him winning. And they're talking about Vance, and the idea that Vance could win is crazy to me. And those are big name brand recognition people. AOC is charismatic. I would say she's top 10 name brand recognition politicians in the U.S. right now,
easily,
which is a huge thing.
I mean, the biggest
Buttigieg is up there too.
The biggest down part for AOC is that, similar to Hillary, the right hates her so much that there's spillover, that there are people in the middle who probably don't like her for no good reason other than spillover, that people on the right are so negative. They just like, there's something wrong with her. I hear negative things all the time without critically thinking about that. That's the only thing that I think that's the worst thing that will hold her back, is that there's years of negative about her out there.
Yeah. And Madhavi also says AOC doesn't stand a chance because old Dems won't vote for her, and I think that's true. I think that there is going to be an ageism problem on the left, and I think there is also going to be a centrism problem on the left, where like the people who are Democrats that get out and vote every time, that are in their 70s, 80s, they're not as likely to vote for someone who even like associates with the word socialism. And they'll see her. I mean, it's hard because the math always changes when you go from the primary to the general. Like, some of those people are going to be like, well, I'm not doing Vance and I'm not doing, whatever. But to some extent, it's that you have to get there, which is really the difficult part.
I think the key in today's politics, and they may not know it, but to follow the lesson of Trump without being evil, is people don't care so much about what the solution you're offering is. They care that you care about the same problems they do. I mean, and it goes back, Bill Clinton, I feel your pain, over and over again. I feel your pain. I feel your pain. That's all he said. And that's what people wanted to hear. I mean, Trump's version of was, I hate the people you hate. But there is I have the same mindset as you. I'm for the things you're for. It's great that, like, Madhavi and I love the fact that Hillary had great thought out plans, and that Warren had a plan for that. And like, our website there literally was a plan for every single thing. And then Harris had solid plans. But the voting electorate don't give a shit. They're not going to go look at they don't go look at your website. They always say, they keep saying they're going to fix it. They don't even have a plan. And you're like, no, it's on the website. Like, well, I haven't seen it. But it's there. Like, like, do you listen to the speeches or no? I just expect to get it through osmosis. But if they just say, I agree with you, houses are too expensive, we're going to fix that, and don't give a word on how you're going to do it. And when the reporters ask, well, how are you going to do that? Say, we're going to do it in the first 6 months. That's how we're going to do it. That's all people want to hear. They just want to hear you're going to do it. Once you start getting into details, they just turn their brain off and they don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And optimism doesn't sound if you're not strategizing.
But optimism is fine as long as you keep it focused on the things you want. Because, like, in the beginning of Harris, people loved her. Then halfway through her campaign, she switched to "Here's my plans," and people, the press were demanding it. Where are the plans? Where are the plans? And once she started talking about plans, she plummeted because nobody voting gives a shit. Just the press does.
I wasn't shitting on optimism. What I was going to say is optimism is shit on optimism.
Nuanced. I hate when people do that.
Yeah, but like if you're saying, "Oh yeah, everything's fucked up. This sucks. We need to fix this." That like you're saying, but like you also have to acknowledge the problem, even if, in some cases, even when there isn't a problem, if the people think there's a problem, you have to acknowledge it.
Yeah, because you don't have to do a plan, so it doesn't make a difference. So yeah, you're right. We got to fix immigration. We got to do it. I mean, look at Trump. Well, he does. We're going to fix this. We're going to fix this, and he comes in and he goes, "I fixed it," and people are like, "Yeah, he fixed it." What did he fix? He just said he fixed something, and
I made it worse for 3 weeks, and now it's better.
Yeah, and that, I mean, Democrats can do that without breaking things. They can just try. I mean, it's what Obama and Bill Clinton were really good at in their campaigns, was feeling they connected with people. People believed Obama was going to change what you wanted changed. What is it? Yeah. Doesn't make a difference. Change. That's all it counts.
Yeah.
So that's what we need them to realize. That's the shit that's what they want. Plans is not what they want. Having that's what the press wants. That's what Inside Washington Beltline wants. That's not what the voters want. Voters don't give a shit about your plan. Hey, great, have your plans, have them on your website, but you don't talk about them. Be like, yep, I'm going to fix Mike's problem with his messed up T-shirt with a stupid collar. Want to know how? Visit my website. Next issue.
I love this shirt.
A little self-conscious now?
It's a Henley. It's the only thing.
It stole this from Don Henley.
Yeah. I get no respect. Should we start wrapping up?
Sure, let's wrap.
We've been going 56 minutes. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, viewers have only been seeing us for 5, but
viewers. I'm married to her. But listen,
it's true,
honey. Since you're watching us on video, and anyone who's watching us on video in the future, you can be my honey too. You know how you be my honey? Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the ding dong bell, and go ahead and make comments. If you think we're full of crap, let us know in the comment section. You think we hit something spot on, and you're like, oh my God, finally someone who sees it the way I do? Pop it in the comment section. If you listened to Mark Cuban on Pod Save America and said, man, Matthew was lucky to run into him in a hotel in Orlando once and talk to him for about 2 minutes, express how jealous you are, or envious, more appropriately, in the comment section below. That's all I'm asking. I am not asking you to go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff and subscribe there for free or for paid money. I would never think of doing something like that. Only someone who just cares about base money and profit would talk about going to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff. Anyway, what do you want to say, Mike?
If you're listening to this podcast on any of the podcast apps, give us a thumbs up or a follow or a review or whatever. Anything good. You know what's good. And then if you wanted to support us beyond that, you can go to patreon.com/talking about the big stuff. There we have 4 options for you to help support us. We have a free option, which gets you the podcast as the same time, same version as everybody else, but on the Patreon app, which can go through anything else with RSS feed. It also allows you to get these live streams when we are live.
So just like we were reading Madhavi's comments, we could read yours.
Yeah.
And that's without a producer. We are producerless today, and we still interacted with the audience.
Well, that's partly because she was doing it on she was doing it through Patreon and not through the YouTube thing, and so I was getting alerts. It's popping up. So
watch on Patreon.
It's easier that
way.
Make
your comments there.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have the $1 option. $1 option gets you the podcast 4 days early. The $3 version gets you some extra spice on there. And then the $10 version gets you all the goodies, plus a little bonus at the beginning, and all of that in video form.
Backstage stories.
Yeah. And sometimes Matthew just going buck wild. And
Well, if he's not watching the live stream.
I don't know about that. And if you are interested, because I know that I've mentioned it the last few weeks, and I'm probably going to mention it the next few weeks. I'm sorry. One thing before I get to the plug, Matthew. By the time this episode airs, although maybe the last episode,
who knows?
I don't know, we will have hit 3 years as a podcast. So
not me.
You were on episode 2. By the time this airs, I think you'll have.
I was the first real live guest who wasn't your imaginary friend that you did with the voice changer.
Yeah. So anyway,
very cool.
Anyway, back to what my plan.
But Mike knows how to read and write, and he wrote a novel. Learn about that.
It's called. Yeah, that'll be in the show notes. You can go check it out. You can download the first chapter. I will also be doing on August 21st. I'll be doing a live reading of a different chapter. Yeah, it'll be live online. I'll be streaming it through YouTube and through LinkedIn. LinkedIn was wild, but I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do LinkedIn." And I'm actually getting a better turnout on LinkedIn right now. So anyway, I will put all of that out there, but you can go download the first chapter. You can listen to that reading.
What's the name of this novel?
The Dinner Party.
The Dinner Party.
And it is a novel about sexual and emotional maturity. And
sexual stuff.
and I really think people are going to like it. I'm still waiting on initial reviews from
the rimming chapter. I find to be a little in your face.
Yeah, that's the point. So anyway, I'm going to tell a little bonus story for patrons right now. Fuck it, it's going to be for everybody. No, it's going to be for patrons, because it's going to definitely be for patrons now that I think about it. But yeah, so check out the Dinner Party. Show note. The link will be in the show notes. Pre-orders are great if you wanted to go do that. There are some discounts if you follow on Instagram. I'm sharing anywhere I see it cheaper than listed price. I'm sharing because I just want people to get it. I don't care how much you pay for it. I want you to get it, and also it's on ebook format for $9.99 as well. But hardcover ebook, and all that's going to be in the show notes. And go read the first chapter. Check it out. I've had a lot of downloads of the first chapter, which is nice. I've had like 40 something downloads. So, all right, Matthew, do you have any last thoughts?
I just want to say thank you all for talking about the big stuff. We weren't sure how we should address this issue, but we decided to say the things that have gone over well before and then replace the things that went poorly. Hope it worked.
Remember, the conversation doesn't end here. It's just the beginning. If you have thoughts or questions or topics you'd like us to tackle in a future episode, drop us a line on our social media channels. Engage with this video when you are now watching it as a VOD on YouTube. Send us an email. We love hearing from our listeners, bringing us topics, because if you leave it up to the three of us, we're going to eventually be talking about underwater basket weaving. So we would appreciate you guys reaching out a little bit. Don't forget to subscribe to Talking About the Big Stuff on your favorite platform. Give us a 5-star rating. Engage with it. Criticize us. We need to grow and be better, and you're going to help us be there. You're going to help us get to that point. It really helps us more to reach out and also to keep the conversation going. Thank you for tuning in. We'll be back next week with more big ideas and more thought-provoking discussions. Until then, stay curious, stay informed, and keep talking about the big stuff.
The preceding podcast has been a Chocolate Diamond Media LLC production. Copyright 2023, all rights reserved.